On today's Minute, Richard is working out, his core, his lats, his quads, and also his little tiny jaw muscles left and right. Just chomp, chomp, chomp.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
What is the divine bomb?
The only good human is a dead human!
Where there is fire, there is smoke.
The minute of the apes. 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 Yay! Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd. And the guy that I saw, it only took 10 minutes for him to start singing along to the theme song as we played it back, is Sean. I wondered if any of us would ever do along with that. Every time I recut it a little bit every time between the seasons. My wife is the worst person in the world when it comes to earworms. The moment she hears something, she can't let it go. What drove her insane was me having to cut the where there is fire, there's smoke and create that echo so it hit the beats. She would walk through going, where there's fire, there's smoke. Smoke, damn it, Todd. And I was like, I'm sorry, honey. And she literally said that for about 3 or 4 days. But I'm glad to see you sing along. The one part that always gets me, it's really cool. That we use GarageBand to record with. It's a app that comes on your Mac now. As a drummer, I'm pretty picky about the drumming in it, and I didn't want to mic up a drum kit. They actually have a little drummer inside that thing that you tell it what you want it to do, and it will sync with the other instruments you play. There's the one little minute when the drummer decides to go, I can't help it. Every time that comes along, I have to shrug my shoulders and kind of get into the groove. Anyway, how are you doing today, Sean?
It's Friday. Friday.
And, well, man over there who hasn't told us he's excited about Friday.
It feels like I bet Richard feels like he's been eating all goddamn week.
I have. I still have another protein bar.
God.
I have to finish the rest of the
Did you hear
cereal.
that sigh? Oh,
Here, Sean and I eat, and it's all about how fast can we get it in. Richard's, it's about how long can I sustain the eating.
Do you understand? I've been following this kind of macro programming for about a year now. Well, I've actually used to do it before, but I've been consistently doing it for a year. And I largely eat good food, minus a little tequila and orange juice every so often, and margarita mix.
But seriously, does your jaw get sore? All the eating?
No, more than anything else. Sometimes I eat, and I'm like, I think I'm just going to throw up because I can't eat anymore. You ever see those people who have those food eating contests, and they eat so much they throw up?
Yeah.
When you're eating 3,700, 3,900 calories a day, you're eating constantly. And there are times like, I'm so full, I can't eat these sweet potatoes anymore. I'm just going to throw up.
But if you want to eat 3,900 calories a day, can't you just eat like 5 or 10 like chocolate cakes and just be done then?
But I have to have a right balance of carbohydrates, fats, and protein.
Oh, you have to balance it. Oh, well, fuck that.
It's not just eating as much as you possibly can. Yeah, sure. I could probably have McDonald's for lunch and Jack in the Box for dinner and get my 4,000 calories in. There'd be no fiber in it. There would be no nutrients in them all. And I would probably have really bad bowel movements and it just wouldn't benefit me in the way that you want it to benefit you.
And we got back to
I could get fat by eating fast
fast
food. Yeah, sorry. Let's talk about this.
Well, no. You open the door to two very Sean things, and one of those is his bowel movement. I knew immediately Sean would say something about that, but let's also talk about those people that eat so much that they then vomit. Do you not remember one of our early days at Zeus, Sean losing his shit? I think it was over somebody drinking milk and it was puking out of their nose or something, and he just couldn't quit showing it to us.
The milk challenge makes me laugh every goddamn time.
Some people love seeing people like skater accidents where they hurt themselves. Not Sean. He wants to see it when people just puke and whatnot everywhere.
I laugh when people vomit because they're stupid. I don't laugh when somebody's has a flu and vomits. It's when they drink so much that they throw up, or they eat so much that they throw up. That makes me laugh so goddamn much I will pee myself.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know that I've ever seen you pee yourself, but I've seen you on the brink of it.
Oh.
At some point, we may have to do an in-between where Sean just watches those videos.
I'm just laughing thinking about it.
All right, it's minute 10. It's Friday. Sean, tell us what's going on with minute 10.
All right, we're going to start minute 10 with Ape School still in session and ends with the teacher telling all of them to take up their charcoal sticks.
All right, let's listen to minute 10 from Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
Shall ape ever kill man?
You're late, General Aldo. Come and read this to the class.
I won't.
You won't because you can't. And you can't because you don't want to learn. And it is my duty to report this to Caesar.
If my father were a gorilla, we'd all be learning writing instead of writing.
Silence! Silence! Cornelius. Remember, you are Caesar's son and heir. Being a good rider isn't enough for being a good ruler. Though in human history, quite a number of military dictators seem to have thought so. Now, all of you, take up your charcoal sticks.
As minute 10, we have a village worth of apes and humans.
All right. First off, when I was ever in school or Sunday school or whatever it might be, when we would chant things so we would learn them, we'd be a little bit more in unison. Whoever mixed the sound, I got it that they wanted it to be a little out of sync, but it literally sounds like somebody went to an echo chamber and just... I thought for the longest time when I was first listening to it, I was like, is something wrong with my file? It just sounds so odd. In fact, even as I played it back here, I kind of thought, is that playing back double time? And it's really
I had
mix.
to listen to the repetition of them saying it a few times to figure out exactly what they were saying because of that reason. Like I couldn't pick it out quite right away what they were saying.
So we get our school teacher being pretty combative with Aldo, and this gives us moments that, if we're being fair to what we saw before, where we said it's good character construction, where there's something where a character defines themselves by the way they respond to something. This is good for Aldo as well, because Aldo, we're allowed to see that he doesn't further his education. He's not super smart. He's aggressive even in his comments. There are a lot of things going on in this that are good, I think, as far as character development goes.
Well,
yeah, we're seeing, apes doing wordplay. We're seeing a combative nature between apes and humans. We're also seeing that humans aren't necessarily slaves, because this is a teacher educating his masters. How does that work? So there's kind of a balance between humans and apes, where a human can chastise an ape, and an ape can yell at a human, yet they're not fighting each other.
It's all about snarkiness. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Richard.
Well, we just had Aldo. We just spent 5 minutes for Aldo to ride into a class.
Yeah.
Okay.
The crash school, ape school.
And he just walks in like he's late, brings no books or homeworks. He sits down at the back of the class with his buddies. I mean, that's an interesting setup and story right there, but I don't know why he rode all the way in for it. Like, I don't need, him being late. There was something to set. I don't set me up to why he's going to this particular place. If he were coming in because he needed to pull somebody out of that classroom, if he was going there because he needed something out of that classroom, that's great. But he goes in and just assumes he's now a part of the class. Lots of build up for General Aldo just to walk into a classroom late, sit down, and then talk back to the teacher.
Was it my imagination, or his name is Aldo, but did the teacher call him like Aldo? And so it's like Leia versus Leia, and
yeah, he's British. He's a British
Han
teacher.
versus Han.
Yeah.
This, to me, illustrated in a further manner why we needed some bit of minor storytelling with his ride into camp. If he had been carrying some bit of information that before he went to the class, someone said, hide this. He's brought something, whether it's information that gets expanded upon further in the movie, it would at least say what he's been doing. He's been doing something that is secretive, and that's why he's urgently doing this. But I thought the same thing. I was like, damn, I've been late for class, but I also didn't beat the shit out of people and stop to fix a wagon. And,
Well, yeah, I mean, there was the teacher didn't say, Aldo, you're late. I mean, even something like that, even something just to set the fact that Aldo is supposed to be in this particular scenario. And he goes and he sits down what appears to be the side of gorillas. We also have chimpanzees. Do we see orangutans in this shot as well?
There are orangutans in there.
Yeah.
Everybody's already segmented by class.
Yeah, everybody sits with their own
kind.
race.
It is mentioned in the script that they're already doing that. So this was intentional for them to already be kind of dividing into
segregated,
the different class systems. I thought it was an interesting choice for the gorillas to all be adults, because that's probably just the costumes they had. I don't know why an adult Aldo.
Well, except for Cornelius.
No, he said gorillas.
Well, no, he's a chimp.
Gorillas. I'm sorry, gorillas.
Why the gorillas are all adults, right? So clearly they have some continuing education issues because they just getting held back.
They're all getting their GEDs, all right.
Well,
right. But there's the teachers
their gorilla education diploma.
There is a heavy-handed moment, as far as set design that may be the heaviest that I've ever seen, where they're trying to force upon us the barbaric type regressed architecture, and that is the chalkboard. Is literally, first off, they found a piece of slate and they couldn't square it off. It has to be this almost bullet shaped type
stony
thing. Yeah, and then our school teacher is smart enough to write this out, and he has to write to the slant of the chalkboard instead of just being able to write very straight.
Yeah, he can't just write straight line,
And then there's a massive space between never and kill.
Hang on. You're assuming the teacher wrote that up there, and an ape could have written that up there.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
There we go.
So we go into this classroom. There's no lights. There's no walls. There's no real books. There's just benches. The teacher has a desk. We have this weird cutting of a slate that looks very Flintstones-esque. You assume these are refarmed props from other productions.
Yeah.
It reminds me of anytime we would go to when we watch old films, and they would go to Africa, and the British person or the English person was always in that kind of khakis and a short sleeve or long sleeve shirt,
helmet
all the way up, and things like that. And that's kind of what it feels like. It feels like a movie where they went to Africa and they're talking to the savages or whatever terrible thing is happening there at that moment,
I'm watching this back as you're talking, and I'm watching it sound down, obviously, just trying to watch the sequence. And the sequence is it's shot pretty well. There are interesting angles. We very rarely, outside of Teacher and Aldo, get anything flat. The chimps are kind of angled. We see information like that.
You see Aldo kind of, when he's holding on to the branch above him, it's kind of a little apey, and then the way he sits down really quick.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought Claude did a great job in this particular scene. I thought it was like the way he said when he said, "Come and read it to the class," and Aldo, "I won't." I just love the way he kind of barked that out.
I do too.
Like as an adult,
he also does it like a petulant child too.
Yeah, I won't.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also go back to Roddy and Escape with the whole. He does something with his mouth also where and he's
working the makeup.
Yeah, you've seen gorillas do that kind of, and it's like he gets and I love that. I love him in the moment.
Yeah, fantastic what Claude is doing inside the Aldo mask. So we do identify Cornelius, right? He's identified as Caesar's son. Clearly, this is so far back in the past that it's not our modern day
He's Cornelius the first.
We're establishing the name so it can be passed down, which is kind of weird if you think Cornelius and Caesar. We've had Roddy McDowall play both those characters, so basically he's propagated his own. It's like a Mobius loop where he becomes his own self. He's his own grandfather somehow.
Right, exactly, yeah. So, but they do mention that Caesar or Cornelius will become heir. So whatever happens between now and the future, the chimpanzee line, particularly the Caesar Cornelius line, does not resume leadership later on down the line, right? But the teacher does say he's intended to be heir.
At some point they go from royalty to a more democracy or somehow a 3-tier system where all apes have different.
And he's setting up the fact that Caesar is the one in charge, right? That he's the one who's dictating all the don't tell
boss applesauce.
Oh yeah, he's the boss. What I thought